You will never rise higher than your personal story. And no, I'm not cursing you. I don't have the power to do it. I'm not a witch. I'm not a fairy godmother to place a curse on you. But it's just the fact. You can never rise higher than your personal story. What is your personal story? I'll come back to that later. For now, let's briefly talk about what it means to capitalize on your potential. So guys, welcome to another part of this series where I talk about lessons that I learned from the book, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Hold on, let me show you guys the book. Here is the book. Sorry, this is Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Please, so sorry for that. Yeah, exactly. And I'm currently reading chapter 10, where it talks about the 4 history makers or 4 history focus makers or something like. Okay, 4 focuses of history makers, and the first one is capitalization. To capitalize on your potential. What does it mean to capitalize on your potential? It means that you recognize your potential and you are putting in the work to ensure that that potential comes to life. You are doing everything that you can to suck the life out of your potential so that it can feed you. So that means disciplining yourself, investing in it, time, money, energy, brain, sweat, whatever it is that you need to do to actualize your potential. That is what it means to capitalize on your potential. But as I read this book further, the author did mention something, and it is that many people are not able to recognize their potential because of the kind of story that they tell themselves. You cannot recognize your potential. You don't even know who you are. You don't know what you are capable of because of the kind of story that you tell yourself. Now we can come back to the meaning of personal story. I'm going to be using my jotter for the purpose of this please, so I really can't read off a screen or something. That's why I'm going to be using my jotter. I have like my analysis right here in my jotter. So what exactly does your personal story mean? Your personal story is the mental narrative that you have carved around yourself. Underline the word mental narrative. Mental narrative. What does narrative mean? Like to narrate something, to tell somebody something. Mental as in your brain. Mentally, you are telling that story to your brain. You are narrating a particular kind of story. So you're not narrating it to people now. You are the one that is narrating it to yourself. You are narrating it to your brain. Yeah, that's what it means. So your personal story is the mental narrative you have carved around your goals. So this basically means the thoughts, your opinions, your belief about yourself, what you're capable of, your goals, your dreams, your potential, whatever it is that is positive. The kind of story, the mental narrative that you have built around those things. That's what your personal story is. It is the one thing that indicates whether you will exploit your potential to the highest, whether you will be able to capitalize on your potential. Because think about it this way. How will you be able to capitalize on your potential if you have a negative mental narrative about your potential? How will you be able to build on your potential if you have that negative mental narrative? How will you be able to invest in it? You will not be connected. Now, in the previous chapter, he did talk about a superficial mindset. And when I made my research on why people have superficial mindset, the first thing I got was disconnection. That is, people don't have the urge to want to improve on something that they're not connected to. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. So when you have this negative mental narrative about yourself and about your goals, you will not be connected to your full potential to even want to do anything to actualize it. That's basically what it means. Now, going forward, The moment you accept that story you're telling yourself, that core belief about your inability to achieve and maximize your potential, you have also accepted the behavior that is associated with it. So it becomes a daily habit as the behavior deepens every time. So apart from the fact that people are telling themselves a lot of things that keeps on blocking their way to fulfilling their potential, they are also indirectly acting out the behaviors, the attitudes associated with that story. For example, if you believe that you are a dullard, oh Mowe, oh, you are so dumb. There is nothing you do, failure, failure, failure everywhere you go. It's going to get to a particular point that you will start feeding your brain that narrative. You start telling yourself that yes, you are a failure. You can never make it. And your brain accepts it. As time goes on, you will never for once want to work on becoming better. Was there any moment that you fed your brain negative story about yourself that you ended up working towards making yourself better? No. So when you tell yourself that you are a dullard, you can't do it, you will never work hard on becoming bright or becoming a bright student. You will not read, because the moment you sit down to read, those narratives that you have about yourself, they will come back to your brain. It's not going to seem as if they are haunting your mind and they are telling you that, oh, after all, you can never make it. Why? You're such a dullard. You will start staying away from school because after all, you can never make it. You will not read because after all, you are a dullard. You will lose interest in academics because after all, your life is doomed. And then what do? You reduce to average, and everything you do is literally so that you can survive. As long as you can put food on the table for yourself to eat, that will be enough. And you go down to that level. Net on my fan. So the moment you accept this mental narrative about yourself that limits your ability to actualize your potential, you are also indirectly accepting the behaviors that comes with it. You can never think negative about yourself and you expect that the result of your negative thoughts will be positive. It won't work that way. It will not work that way. Now let's continue. In trying to maximize your potential, you must first know who you are. But the concept of who you are initially ends up getting marred. I don't know if I got the pronunciation right, but it's spelled M-A-R-R-E-D, by the dust. And this is because while you're growing up, you were not growing up on your own opinions. You were shaped by the influences of others around you. Your parents, your teachers, your friends, things you saw, things you heard, a lot of things. Those were the kind of things that brought you up. Right? Let me read it. It says, we subconsciously adopt a thinking pattern by learning it from people who most influence us at an early stage. Okay? So we are then shaped by their opinions, their rules, their beliefs, their likes and dislikes, which at the end of the day does not go hand in hand with who we are supposed to be or what should have revealed who we are and what we are capable of. Some of these experiences end up being the personal story you tell yourself that limits you from achieving greatness. Now, because when we are growing up, many of us, we don't have the ability to think for ourselves. So we are literally, or let me say, we were literally carrying the thoughts of others that we learn from them. Right? So whatever it was that is said to us while we were growing up, that's what we believe. Now, let me tell you guys something. There was this house next to our house, and there was this woman. I don't recognize the woman, but this woman cursed her kids a lot. As in, I don't know how to pronounce it. Am I pronouncing it right? Curse. C-U-R-S-E. Now, if you don't know much about the African tradition, then you might not really know how terrible it is to curse your children. I know we're not talking about the witches or this foreign Western curse. No, we are talking about original Yoruba curses. If they curse you, as an African, you will, in fact, you will never succeed. This woman will open her mouth and begin to rain curses. Ọmọ olórí burúkú, ayé ti bàjẹ́. Ọmọ olórí burúkú is a child with an unfortunate destiny. Ayé ti bàjẹ́ is your life is ruined. Your life is doomed for kids that are not up to 10 years, that are not up to 12 years. Probably because she sent them on an errand and they did not answer, or they are late, or they bought something wrong. She would be yelling at them at night. My mom would be like, is she not a mother? Why are you cursing your children this much? Now, if a mother can go that far in raining curses on her children, do you think her mouth, her tongue will be able to bring out motivational words for her kids, prayers for her kids? Do you think she will be able to do any of that? If any of the kids maybe get a bad score, do you think she would even encourage such a kid? She would tell the kid that, oh, your life is ruined. You are just like your father. You are very useless, you are very stupid, just like your father. All those things. And many African parents, they say these things to their kids a lot. And then the kids will just, they will enter secondary school, they will not do anything. You will see them moving around with bad friends, smoking, entering bushes, going to the hall, misbehaving. They just struggle to get out of secondary school, and then that is where their education ends. They begin to walk around the streets, doing yahoo, joining cultism and all those stuff. Because they believe, after all, they are useless. And in their attempts to prove to their parents that they are not useless in that way, they will not go through the right way, they will go through the wrong way in trying to prove that they are not useless, and they end up being useless. Because when they are caught by the police and they are thrown into jail, do you think they will actualize any of their potentials? So many of the things that we get from people that we grew up with, they end up limiting our ability to actualize our potential. And these things could be expressed or implied, in the sense that they could be actions done to us openly, and they could be behaviors, instructions, rules given to us to guide us, but they end up limiting us in achieving some things. Like, for example, while growing up, when I was still a teenager, I wasn't allowed to go out. Okay? So I didn't say I'm going out to have sleepovers. I'm having fun. Not that I hate it, or I find it very bad, but like, those were the rules. So once I go to school, if I'm closing by 2 p.m., I'm supposed to be back home latest 3 p.m. Say I'm following a friend to a place, I'm doing any of those things, majorly I was always locked in. There was no time to explore, nothing. And it somehow affected me, my speaking ability, because I could not hold conversations with people. I could not even hold eye contact. I could not even say anything in public because I was always scared. I was always like, in my mind, I'm just like, I want to go home. And even till now, it still happens to me. Once I close from school, like in the university, once I'm done with my classes, I'm rushing home. Like, I don't even wait for any purpose or anything. I did not join any groups, nothing, because my mind is just like, I want to go home. That's it. And there are opportunities that I've lost because of that training. So the training favored me in some aspects, but in some other aspects, I also lost some things. Basically, that is how implied it can be. Now, let's go ahead. You have to now develop the art of leadership. If you now want to capitalize on your potential, you want to now take back your life, you have to develop the art of leadership. And no, I am not talking about leadership in the sense of fancy suit, leadership content that we are seeing all around on LinkedIn. We're not talking about the employer stuff, manager. We are talking about the ability to take charge of your life. Take back what belongs to you. Let me tell you guys, let me recite what I wrote here. I said, I mean the ability to take control of your life and take charge of the affairs of your mind. Remember, we mentioned that it is a mental narrative, right? Exactly. So where we need to tackle is the mental aspect, the mind. Now, there was a quote that I got from that the chapter. It says, I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. Now, this was the analogy I was able to create for that thing. Your mind can either be a lion or a sheep. Your mind hosts every other component of your life. Your mind, be it your actions, your words, your appearance, your aura, your reactions, your faith/belief systems. It hosts it. So if your mind is a lion, it will be able to stand. Because a lion's courage, strategy, and confidence can transform sheep into an effective force. Your mind literally hosts every other part of you. Anything that you want to do comes from your mind. You consider it, you think about it. So if it is not strong enough, if it is not developed enough, every other areas in your life is going to have a big problem. Now, it says, but a sheep's timidity can render lions useless. So when a sheep is leading a group of lions, if their leader, your mind, if their leader is a sheep, even if the other part looks like lion, definitely that means that the rest must be weak. There's that assumption with it. So if your mind, where that story is shaped, isn't properly defined and taken charge of, the other areas would appear weakly because their leader in question is weak. So when your mind is weak, you can never actualize. And once you're not able to actualize your potential, you're weak. I am weak. We are weak when we are not able to actualize our potential. Our mind is where that source comes from. So yes, if you want to be able to capitalize on your potential, you have to be able to deal with your mind. Once you are able to take charge of that, your mind, you know that yes, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. Even if you don't know what really you want to do, but at least you know that you don't have any negative mental narrative that is holding you back from actualizing your potential. Now, there are other quotes that I got from this. You can also call this whole idea of mental narrative the self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so the self-fulfilling prophecy is the way you embrace a story about who you are, what you can achieve, and then behave in a way that makes that fantasy actually come true. So what we tell ourselves each day later becomes what we believe to be reality about ourselves, and then we make ourselves become victims, blaming anything and everything else except us. Then we resign ourselves to average, basically. So those are like the little quotes. Because of your perception of life, you can end up chasing after things and embarking on a journey that doesn't define you and reveal your potential. So basically, that was all I could get from that #1, which is capitalization of your IQ. There are three other points. I think the second one is about distraction. There's another third one. There's another fourth one. But basically, that is just what I understood from being able to capitalize on your potential. So if you were able to watch this video to the end, thank you guys for watching. As you can see, there is light, and I'm so grateful because I need to charge my flashlight or whatever this thing is called. So thank you guys for watching my video. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.